Welcome to episode 5 of April Anger. Our first match is going to be Joker against Charizard. Looks like we're going to be on Battlefield. Going to be a little interesting. I think Joker probably has a couple more ladder combos. Already he's making great work of that top platform. Joker's up air turns out, a really good move. You can drag people down with it, and if you don't drag people down, it even has a launcher hitbox at the end that can be used to secure a kill. Charizard turning into Squirtle actually seems to have been the play here, getting a great advantage on Joker, getting a great up smash from Ivysaur. Does not go for a spike. It totally looked like he was going to go for a spike, but for some reason he did not go for one. Just amiibo things, I suppose. Going remarkably low before using the up special. You wouldn't have had to go that low if you didn't use your jump. Alright, that spike really swings things back into Joker's favor. Joker's actually a pretty hard character to fight against, specifically because he keeps getting Arsene, which makes all of his stuff just better, strictly better. Already without Arsene, Joker would probably be an okay character. We'll never really know what that's like, though, because every time he takes about 100% damage or deals about the same, I'm pretty sure that there's a multiplier on one of those, he becomes incredibly strong. Basically, Arsene turns Joker into a character who is fast like Sheik, but suddenly hits about as hard as Ganondorf. That may be a slight exaggeration, but that second hitbox really does change a lot. The soft hit of the up smash, not able to kill Charizard, but Joker's already had 2 Arsenes on his first life. That's usually a lot more than you end up with, or you see in a normal match. That killed. Charizard is now very far behind. At the very least, he should be able to get a quick kill off of Joker. Alright, he went for back throw instead of, I don't know, like up throw. Up throw is pretty good, especially on a platform that puts you higher up. You need less knockback to kill the opponent with it. Switching in Squirtle was not the play there. He still got hit anyway. And on your last stock, when you need to take out 2 of the opponents, you cannot afford to get hit at all. Squirtle is a very light character. He does have a couple of problems killing. Not as bad as a character such as Sheik, like we mentioned earlier. But he is a lightweight, so his moves just naturally don't hit as hard. And then Ivysaur, ironically, has no problem killing because of all of his Leaf Bud explosion things. They're a little bit longer to come out than a lot of his other moves, but they certainly hit hard. Squirtle dancing around, trying to hit Joker at all. This is Joker's 3rd Arsene for the first life. If you do hit Joker when he has Arsene, then he does lose a significant portion of the gauge. Going for a neutral air, if he had gone for a down air, he could have tried to combo it into some sort of shenanigans. Charizard's very high up. That up air is not going to kill, but man, that was uncomfortably close. And Charizard had fun switching between all of his Pokemon before getting up smashed and dying again. This round goes to Joker. I had to do a double take on the bracket when I was looking at this one. We have Rool against Ness. These are both previous champions. Ness being the champion of last year, and Rool being the champion of the year before that. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. Although so far Ness is just hitting up airs a lot. Which I suppose if you're able to do is a good strategy. Rool using his armor to at least get the crown off through the PK fire. He did eventually lose the armor, and then he got locked into the flames, taking even more damage. But at the very least, the crown was able to hit Ness, able to stop him from doing something like running up and using a forward smash. Up air barely not killing Rool. Rool is incredibly heavy. Ness recovering. Rool messed up the punish. Ness recovering at that same angle again, but he just didn't have enough space. And by that I mean he didn't go enough distance to actually grab the ledge. A little shocking to see. Got Ness off stage, and King K. Rool tries to go for an edge guard, but he's not fast enough. Moving for a back air. He probably could have had a good edge guard if he'd used his neutral air instead. Something to watch out, though, is that his neutral air does use King K. Rool's belly armor, and if you use it too much, it can break. For reference, it has about the same amount of health as a shield does. So anything that would break your shield can also break your belly armor. Most attacks, unless they have special extra shield damage, don't break a full shield. However, trying to beat out a PK Thunder recovery with the belly armor is definitely very risky if it's taken any damage at all. Ness's toes just barely clipped the blast zone there. That's going to be his second stock. Gets King K. Rool off stage. He feigns a edge guard. Actually a little bit smart for an amiibo to do. Granted, when you're against another amiibo, they're not normally going to get tricked by things like that. They don't have personality and decision making. They kind of just go off of what the situation currently is. And most exploits of being able to manipulate the CPU into doing a particular thing at a particular time have been fixed by now. Back in the day, it wasn't as straightforward. For example, in Smash 4, the CPUs were pretty much hard-coded to shield any aerial, which was actually really annoying for characters like Jigglypuff, who live and die in the air, because if it meant, you know, as a casual player, you were going up against the CPU, you couldn't ever hit them. Great spike by Ness. I guess probably any of his moves would have killed. Ness, what are you doing? Ness having just enough shield to not get shield broken. I don't know the damage calculations, but when you're at the ledge, a lot more fully charged forward smashes will kill you at lower percents. Especially coming from a heavyweight like King K. Rool, he has some very high knockback moves. Does bring up the question of which move the CPU would have chose to use. Ness actually grabs the ledge this time, that was pretty close. And a rewind to the beginning of the match, King K. Rool gets caught in the fire. Bat not killing King K. Rool, he is one of the heaviest characters in the game. And the hitbox on the propeller pack saves his life. Ness recovers, get up attacks through the vortex. I wouldn't recommend trying that as a human player because most King K. Rools do not stand that close to the edge. Ness has to recover, and King K. Rool has to land on the ground, putting us in a normal ledge trap situation. Dash attack not enough to kill. Up air will do it. Ness will be moving on. King K. Rool will not be winning this year either. Up next we have Ganondorf against Squirtle. A lot of the pace of this match will definitely be decided by which Pokemon Squirtle chooses to use. Normally being the super lightweight against the super heavyweight isn't exactly a bad position to be in. However, when a heavyweight, especially Ganondorf, who probably hits the hardest out of any character, and Squirtle does not make that recovery. That drastically changes the speed of this match entirely. The point I was going to make is that when you're a lightweight, the hard-hittingness of the heavyweight's moves definitely starts to come into effect when you're at about 70%, specifically because that's a lot earlier than most characters would get killed at, but for a lightweight, it is not. And that extra 30% for a heavyweight is usually an extra neutral interaction or two, so you really don't want to get hit by anything serious, but usually heavyweights are all about the hard reads and hitting hard. So it definitely becomes a matchup of, ironically enough, two glass cannons. One that can combo the other, and the other that just hits a beefy smash attack. Things are not looking great for Squirtle. He is already on the verge of losing, getting hit by the volcano kick, and Squirtle has died. That was an incredibly quick match. A lot of the matches with Ganondorf have been incredibly quick. Sorry to disappoint if you wanted a longer game. That brings us to Steve against Villager. Looks like we're going to be on Battlefield. A little interesting for Steve because in, well, at least high-level play, Steve usually excels in building a short wall and mining behind it. And with that extra platform on Battlefield, it makes it a little bit easier to choose when you engage him. Of course, the amiibo seems to be... Both of these amiibo, actually, seem to be bucking the standard convention and just doing whatever they feel like. I will say it was a consideration when training the amiibo how to train them, as in how aggressive or passive or safe they should be. And Smash Ultimate actually does have, I believe it calls them personalities. Each amiibo gets a short word describing how they normally like to engage their opponent. It turns out that the actual personality name, for example, Cautious or Thrill Seeker, doesn't actually affect anything, and it's actually the inverse in that amiibo with certain strengths or values will be given a certain name. So an amiibo doesn't become aggressive because they're called an aggressive amiibo. An amiibo is aggressive and then they get labeled as an aggressive amiibo. This all comes back to when trying to train the amiibo, it was a very quickly learned realization that if all of the amiibo were incredibly slow and campy, it would have been an absolute... just nobody would have wanted to watch the tournament. If every amiibo was running away the entire time, especially with the auto heal, it would have compounded even more. Instead, the whole point of the auto heal was to encourage human players to not be able to camp the amiibo, because if you camp them out for 30 seconds, that's, what, an extra 6... no, it's not 6%, it's 5% every 5... oh, it's 1% per second. It's an extra 30% that they heal back. Yes, the mechanics of the auto heal is that every 5 seconds, because this is greater auto heal, every 5 seconds it triggers and heals 5%. The lesser auto heal is 2.5% every 5 seconds. They're on the same timer. It is interesting because in Smash Ultimate you can, on a normal spirit layout, you can have up to 3 spirit slots, and the amiibos follow that rule as well. So for a cost of 2 amiibo slots, you can recover 2.5 every 5 seconds, or for the cost of 1 extra slot, you can double the speed of the healing. And as a general rule, whenever the greater auto heal is around, nobody goes for the lesser auto heal because greater auto heal is significantly more effective. There have been some ploys to use the lesser auto heal whenever the greater auto heal is not available. And that depends on the specific scenario in which they're being used in. Most often you're going to see this sort of thing being calculated as in amiibo against amiibo tournaments when spirits are allowed and no spirit effects are banned, which is a little bit specific of a situation, so you may not see it that much. Villager actually tried to pocket the anvil. It didn't look like it worked, and I'm guessing it's probably because the anvil landed, and it may not be considered a projectile once it does so. It's especially interesting because the anvil doesn't particularly change. It only loses its hitbox when it's on the ground, but that may be enough for Villager to be unable to pocket it. Or Villager just missed, and I'm talking nothing. Villager's done a great job of camping out Steve this whole match. Steve actually broke his pickaxe at the exact wrong time, getting a back air on Villager, but it was only with his hand, so instead of possibly killing, it just knocked him away. The amiibo definitely have a much harder struggle keeping their weapons at a good durability level than most human players seem to be able to. Already, Steve just went to his gold weaponry. It has less durability, but comes out faster. But since the amiibo doesn't seem to remember to craft tools every now and then, Steve finally touches the ground after that edge guard. You can actually see the pickaxe collided with the slingshot pellet. It gave it a little bit of hit stun, you can see it again there, but not enough to save Villager from getting hit that one time. And Steve has already broken his pickaxe, and he does have an extra piece of gold, which means if he has enough time to recraft his weapons, yep, he does, and he makes another set of gold tools. That is probably unfortunate for Steve. Usually you want the gold to go towards an empowered minecart. Also, Steve already lost his pickaxe again. He was binding for a little bit. But that's not great for Steve. He does have a diamond, so now if he makes tools, he gets a diamond set. He's going to need to find the time to do it, though. Villager's doing a great job of harassing him, teching mid-recovery to hit Steve back. Unfortunate for Steve, he actually broke his own crafting table. One of the side effects of the crafting table being on the field is that it is an object you can hit. Basically, it can give you hit stun and hit lag, and it basically just doesn't interact with projectiles. The thing to know about that, though, is that every time you build the crafting table, it does take a resource. Usually it costs a wood, I believe. Although if you don't have any, the game will let you get a crafting table for free, so that you do not become soft blocked out of half of your moves. However, whenever a Steve dies or is not paying attention, you can break his crafting table to effectively give him one less material. If he is currently mining at the moment, then it's a terrible trade because he is gaining resources at a very constant rate. But it is something you can do, and you can use it to also help unstale some of your moves. Of course, the moves that break the crafting table the fastest are usually the sorts of moves you would want to be hitting Steve with, so you would not want them to be stale. However, if you just KO'd him, you can always pretty safely just use a smash attack on it, maybe 2 smash attacks. That way your smash attacks will be scaled, and your faster moves, which you're going to be starting out Steve's percentage with, will do just a little bit more damage. Steve finally gets the diamond tools crafted. Most of his inventory is actually iron at the moment. You can see he actually had to build with it there. It is stronger than a lot of the weaker, well, than all of the weaker resources. However, Steve does need to use iron for a lot of his different moves. So if you can only be using iron instead of your better resources, it's not a good time to be in. Steve seems to have taken the hint, and he starts mining. Steve has lasted a lot longer in this third stock than his other two. We're actually getting pretty close to coming up on time, though. We have about 30 seconds left on the clock, and Steve is going to have an almost impossible time of killing Villager before then. This also might mean we will have the first showing of the Super Sudden Death rules in I don't know how long. However, since Villager is ahead on stocks, I believe when Super Sudden Death comes into effect, Villager just gets the victory. Steve does get a KO, and that probably, well, it deprives Villager of his rage, so he probably can't kill Steve before the time goes up, but Villager has 2 lives, and according to the rules of Super Sudden Death, that means Villager wins, so we will not be playing that out. In other matches, if they were tied, we actually would be playing it out, but not this time. Next on the docket, we have Mii Brawler against Chrom. Looks like they're going to be playing on Final Destination. Neither of these characters have projectiles, so the stage choice isn't going to be explicitly unfair towards any of them. However, on a flat stage like this, characters who are better at catching landings have an easier time. When there's platforms, it gives you essentially an extra platform to land on. It could be debated that it can be difficult to get off of the platforms, but a lot of characters can simply fast fall through the platforms and have no problem at all. And also given the ability to try to air dodge to one of the platforms in a dire situation. Chrom going off stage, not usually something you see. Mii Brawler actually hitting him out of the peak of ether. Chrom jumping off the ledge with a down air. You usually don't see that, usually because it would never hit anyone. Great reactions from Mii Brawler. Unfortunately, he followed up with a flip kick, and that got him punished. I will say that it's interesting to see how the amiibo uses the move. One of the best perks about the Mii Brawler flip kick is that you can actually... So the move is pretty obviously based off of Zero Suit Samus's flip kick. She can use the move to gain or, I guess, retreat distance, and it's invincible for part of it, and she can throw out a kick, which can be a pretty good spike. The Mii Brawler version actually lets you pick which direction you fly in at a diagonal angle, kind of as a replacement to the kick, and that's usually the best part of the move because it lets you, after you pull off a majority of the kick, decide which direction you want to go, whether it's for mobility to engage the opponent or to retreat to safety. Chrom barely grabbing the ledge there. I was actually a little worried about Mii Brawler somehow getting hit and dragged down to the bottom of the screen. The Chrom amiibo does get a lot of his kills that way. Neutral will be actually killing Mii Brawler. That's a little surprising, although I suppose Chrom has been using it a lot. Which is also interesting because in a lot of his other matches he's hardly ever touched the move. It could be that Mii Brawler is more commonly standing in the range in which the move would be able to hit, so the AI is going to hit it more. Not able to connect all the parts of Blade Dance together. Gets a forward smash to the back of the head for that. In fact, Chrom seems to be using the Blade Dance incredibly quickly. If you use it too fast, your opponent actually has a tendency of falling out of the move. Going off stage, and they both make it back without any sort of incident. Now, Mii Brawler did get the down throw combo, but he did not combo with the up B. That's one of the best perks of that up special, but it looks like the amiibo just doesn't know that. Great side B out of Hitstone there, and then a great spike. Things are looking pretty good for Mii Brawler fans. Dodging around each other. They actually had a grab collision there. If you try to grab someone who's trying to grab you, the grabs effectively clank and cancel out. It's not a technique that you can usually make too useful. It's pretty rare that you are unavoidably being grabbed, but have just enough time to throw out a grab of your own to try to cancel it out. Mii Brawler get-up attacks, neutral get-up could have been death right there. Side being just over the edge, gonna have to recover. Apparently that's not really a problem, even with the re-grab, losing your invincibility. Gets Chrom off stage. Nobody dies. It's always a guess with the Chrom amiibo. Mii Brawler with a flip kick, mostly for show. It didn't particularly serve purpose. Chrom goes off stage, throws out an up B. He's actually able to grab the ledge. Chrom is very adventurous in going off stage. It is something that usually the amiibo have a lot more common than the human players. Just in that the amiibo can be assigned a value in how often it goes off stage. Most players generally realize how much recovery their character has, so they usually know about how far off stage they can go without risking their lives. Footstool from Chrom is actually going to take Mii Brawler's life. However, with Chrom at 100% and Mii Brawler being a character who hits decently well, it'll be interesting to see how long that life lasts. Up B does not kill Mii Brawler. He bounces off the stage. Air dodging back to the ledge. Luckily for Mii Brawler, he knew to get out of there. Chrom having to recover again. Every single one is a question of if he drags down his opponent or if he misses the ledge himself. Shot put, not getting Chrom. Chrom actually recovered. If he didn't, he probably could have gotten the spike off of Mii Brawler. Off on Mii Brawler, I mean, which would have won him the match. Single jab from Mii Brawler. Most characters don't have a combo out of a jab. Neutral air sends Chrom a little too far. Does Mii Brawler get killed by Ether? No, he doesn't. Though not for a lack of trying. Mii Brawler's percentage is now starting to get up there. Chrom is a character who definitely hits hard, so he needs to avoid getting hit by a random smash attack. The grab is not going to kill Chrom. Mii Brawler goes off stage and gets scooped in by the Ether. The Chrom special. These amiibo don't know when to not go off stage. And now, for two characters who almost have the same name, we have Duck Hunt against Diddy Kong. They're going to be on Final Destination with the Donkey Kong themed music. How appropriate. Diddy Kong actually beating out Duck Hunt's up smash. If he had released it slightly sooner, he probably could have hit Diddy Kong with it. Playing aggressively off stage, teching to the up air. Up air is probably, you know what, I'm gonna call it Duck Hunt's best aerial move. His aerials aren't actually particularly bad, however the up air kills very well. Duck Hunt able to use his recovery to make it back. In Smash Ultimate, he can actually cancel out of it with moves. Usually you don't want to cancel it out early with like an attack because then you will fall to your death. However, you can cancel out of it with an air dodge. I believe you can even cancel it out of a wall jump, but that's a little bit harder to do. And if you mess it up, you lost your recovery and your wall jump. Especially on a stage like Final Destination that has walls, but they're on the bottom of the stage. So whenever anybody wall jumps off of it, it's a little bit more of a novelty than it is a consistent tactic. Forward Smash is going to take Duck Hunt's first stock. Comes in swinging, trying to get revenge on Diddy Kong, who does a great job of jumping just longer than arm's reach away. That would normally be a range in which Duck Hunt would be great at. And Duck Hunt has been using some projectiles this match, but Duck Hunt as a character is generally capable of using so many more. Diddy Kong is getting a lot of these combos. I want to call them Build-A-Bear combos. A lot of them aren't exactly true at a lot of percentages. However, a lot of his moves put his opponent into a bad situation where Diddy Kong can try to choose what his next move will be. And if you link 5 of those together, well, it may not be a true combo, but it is the combo that you landed. Up air does not have enough knockback scaling to kill Duck Hunt. Diddy Kong has barely taken any percentage of this stock, gets 2 smash attacks on the Cowboy. I didn't realize they actually had a hitbox that lingered that long. I suppose it makes sense because of multi-hits. I've just never seen anyone try to hit them twice. Duck Hunt finally starting to take back this stock. Never mind, he just got hit off stage. He will suffer just a little bit longer. Duck Hunt goes for the Frisbee into a forward tilt. A forward air would have connected and dealt more damage. That time he went for a Frisbee into a Frisbee. If he hadn't ran so far forward, it would have been a better play. Going for a smash attack that, believe it or not, actually did hit. Duck Hunt's smash attack is a succession of bullet blasts, as if someone was playing with the NES. Someone was playing with the NES Zapper to assist him, kind of in theme with his game. It's a really nice touch. But it does mean that the actual hitboxes of the moves, you can actually see with the little reticle jumping around, they are pretty consistent, and the game has actually, especially compared to Smash 4, wow, that's a lot of off-stage shenanigans going on. The game has, and that spike will kill Diddy Kong. He can't make it back from that far. The game has made it so his smash attacks will almost always connect. I'm sure someone slipped out of one of them at some point, but it's not a problem I've ever personally come across. See right there, Diddy Kong just get hit by all the successive hits. And I guess he didn't have a jump, or he didn't choose to use it, because Diddy Kong just died. For our next fight, we have Kirby Smash Bros. Against Bowser. Yes, there are 2 Kirby amiibo. Kirby Classic and Kirby Smash. This is Kirby Smash Bros. They actually have different physical printings, that's why there's 2 of them. That forward smash might have actually killed Kirby. It's a very strong move. It kind of has to be since it comes out so slow. Or at least it would be very disappointing if it wasn't. And oh, Bowser actually made it back from that spike there. Kirby's down air has been thankfully buffed since the start of Smash Ultimate, so it is actually a move you do not want to get hit by. I suppose you don't want to get hit by any move. However, Kirby's down air at the very beginning of Smash Ultimate had a hard time doing its job. Kirby's gonna recover, Bowser's just gonna let him get spiked while he was standing on the ground. Great stone from Kirby. Well, It hit, so I want to say it's great, but he also activated it before Bowser had even jumped. So I'd put that more as a poor reaction from Bowser. Kirby gets the inhale on Bowser. So Kirby can copy well, basically anybody's special move in the game. Some moves are a little bit more useful than others. That's just how it works. Bowser's Fire Breath is usually most useful because it does a lot of damage. I can't believe Kirby didn't get hit there. He's doing great all of a sudden. So Bowser's Fire Breath is great because it does a lot of damage. In the competition between Bowser's Fire Breath and Charizard's Fire Breath, there always seems to be a clear winner for one reason or another. And in Smash Ultimate, it appears to be that the damage of Bowser's Fire Breath is the more useful quality to have. So this all is important. Oh wow, that was a very long delayed clash. Bowser lives getting that spike. When Kirby copies an opponent's special move, he actually gets a multiplier on its damage and or knockback, depending on how it's coded. I don't know if they get separately or they just scale off of the one. But basically that means that Kirby copies an ability, he gets a slightly stronger version of it, to make up for the fact that he has to actually copy the thing in the first place. And since Bowser's Fire Breath, if you land it just right, it can deal like 40% of damage. Kirby gets his 1.2 times multiplier, so he gets to deal even more. Now on a character like Bowser, who is the heaviest character in the game, it's going to be slightly less noticeable just because he takes less knockback from a lot of things anyway. And also Bowser does have tough guy armor, so depending on a couple factors like scaling of the move, he might actually be able to hit you through the Fire Breath. However, if you play your cards right, you can deal a lot of damage on a character who you normally need to deal a lot of damage on anyway. Kirby gets Bowser off stage, hits him with a spike, a second spike that trades. Bowser's not able to grab the ledge by 1.5 inches. Kirby's gonna be winning and moving on. And for our last match, we have Robin against Dr. Mario. We're going to be on Pokemon Stadium. A platform arrangement that I would guess will slightly benefit Dr. Mario just a little bit more than Robin. Although Robin just landed like 4 dash attacks in a row. Dr. Mario doing great damage right now. Barely getting hit. Response back throw at the ledge is enough to kill Robin. That was an 18-second stock. Robin charging up at the ledge, apparently learning that just because Dr. Mario is outside of punching range does not mean you are safe from ever getting punched. Dr. Mario already dealt 65% to Robin, Robin has been having the hardest time just getting Thoron charged up. Mario getting hit by the sword after landing the dash attack. That's not normally the best aspect of Robin's resource-using moves. However, it does come up sometimes that you can make your opponent flinch even if you're currently indisposed. Dr. Mario gets sent off stage, gets a good Dr. Tornado, he's able to recover, actually clashing with the element there, but Dr. Mario seems not too bad, not too worse for wear. Reflecting Thoron, but Robin actually reflected it. Robin recovering, has half a tome left. Oh, it was actually enough for one full recovery. She cannot afford to get sent off stage in the next 2 seconds. She doesn't, however, she is now at such a high percent that she can't afford to get hit by a lot of Dr. Mario's moves. She gets a great throw combo into a 11 sword up air. She does have very strong aerials when the sword is active. And after the first stock, all of your swords come back all of your swords and tomes, come back automatically when you get a new stock to give you a whole fresh set. It's a rather small change from how Smash 4 worked, in that Robin started out with full 11 sword. I will say that for the pacing of the character, it's a little nice to actually not be using your Sora in the first, 5 seconds of the match. And if you can get a great combo off of your opponent, then you can use it to possibly kill them right after that. But I would say the change was probably made to get the players to understand that having the sword is supposed to be a positive effect on your character, instead of the sword's breaking being a strictly negative effect. And when you consider how strong the moves are with the Levin's sword, it really does make sense to view it that way. Most other characters do not hit as hard as Robin's Levin's sword does. Of course, the Dr. Mario Smash attack has killed many a character, including Robin. That means Dr. Mario's going to be making it on. That's the last match of this video. I hope you've enjoyed. It's also the first match of the second leg of the tournament. All these characters, you may have noticed, have been from the previous round. As the tournament shortens, the legs get shorter and shorter with fewer characters, so next time we're going to be doing the other half of the tournament. And I hope to see you then.